Welcome back to the Fate of Drakkenheim. This is the Dungeon Dudes weekly D&D 5th edition actual play campaign, and I'm Monty Martin, running our game as Dungeon Master.
And I'm Callie McLaughlin, playing Wilhelm von Kessel, the human swashbuckler rogue. And we're joined today by our good friends.
Jill Denitis playing Rudi Whitaker, the Shifter Eldritch Knight.
And Joel Gorman playing Wrath, the Azamar Warlock.
Thank you for joining us once again. If you're just tuning in for the very first time, welcome. We're the Dungeon Dudes. Kelly and I post new videos on our YouTube channel where we cover everything D&D, including advice for players and guides for DMs. So be sure to subscribe to the channel, ring that bell so that you never miss an episode.
You can also join us on Tuesday evenings when we broadcast the campaign here on YouTube. You can check us out from 6 p.m. to 8 p.m. Eastern Time right here as a premiere. And then you can also watch it later on our channel or listen to it as an audio-only podcast as well.
And with that, let us return to Drakkenheim.
Drakkenheim is no more. The devastation which fell upon that accursed place left a kingdom in ruin. Now, horrors lurking in the haze grow ever more great and terrible, while simmering tensions between rival factions boil over into outright war. The power of monarchs, mages, and priests hangs in the balance. 6 unlikely heroes join forces to confront the coming chaos. They shall decide, once and for all, the fate of Drakkenheim.
When last we left our heroes, King Wilhelm, along with Rudi and Wrath, had arrived in Drakkenheim under great fanfare as guests of the Duke Valentin von Baden, the Duke of Drakkenheim. Arriving at Castle Baden, they were treated to a grand welcome, a lovely bath, and whilst they were preparing for the evening's banquet, Wrath and Rudi decided to do a little bit of investigating, where they uncovered some evidence of strange evidence of contamination amongst some of the folk delivering food and other supplies to the Castle Baden kitchens. At that, the dinner bell rang, and Wilhelm von Kessel has been summoned to join the banquet, but Rudi and Wrath have decided to skirt away and see if they can't follow up on some of the goings-on beneath. And so, with that, Wilhelm, Elias Drexel leads you to the banquet halls. He notes, explaining a few things as he goes along. He says, everything seems to be in order. I had our teams go through everything that's being served tonight. We've got some tasters for you. Everything should be pretty well off. I'm sure you're probably a little bit concerned about anything happening with that, and it seems like the contamination has been a problem in Drakkenheim, so it's something that the castle staff and the kitchens are aware of to be mindful for. So we should be okay, but I have arranged for some tasters for you this evening.
Thank you. Contamination is what we want to watch for. And I kind of tap the amulet on my neck, and I'm like, I do have this in case of poison. So,
Indeed.
We should be fine there.
There are many guests that are here this evening.
More than just our entourage and the...
Yes, a veritable, well, you should start to expect this, but there have been many petitioners and many folk that, many amongst the nobility, the wealthy of Drakkenheim and beyond, that this banquet and the next several nights here in Drakkenheim have actually been high-ticket items to get an invitation to, because it's one of the first opportunities that people will have to meet you and speak with you, and you might have to entertain many proposals and propositions, people asking you questions, and it's important to take things with an even keel. I think that's a nautical term.
Am I expected? I mean, we should all be copper-bottomed. about this. Did I use that right? To be genuine?
Your Majesty, if I may, be cautious about putting on airs. It's best to be yourself.
I learned to sail recently, and I just wanted to impress the other sea folk. Am I expected to give a speech?
No, not at all.
Oh, good.
Throws out.
I throw out 18 cue cards. Yeah. Good. I hadn't prepared.
I understand that that called up here right now are most of the fleet captains. Understand that many of them are in fact counts and barons in their own right. Up jumped pirates and smugglers, if you want to know in truth. But they are the commanders and captains of the fleet, of the von Baden fleet. And so they all have quite a deal of influence. They often all command both military and mercantile vessels. But from what I understand as well, the Duke has invited some merchants from the far continent to the banquet tonight.
From the far continent?
Indeed.
Wow. That's not a common occurrence at a castle here.
Well, folk from far-flung folk from the far continent.
It's a tongue twister.
Indeed. The fact of the matter is, it's, from what I understand, it's easier to reach Dransman by sea from the far continent than it is to get to Liberio.
Right.
For the folk that are coming that far. There's another port city on the other side of Illyria that is also common, but this might be an interesting opportunity to at least find out more about, well, shall we say, the Academy's distant competition.
Right. Are they something we should be concerned about? With delirium transporting to Dransman and then being sold offshore, the most likely suspect would be rival academies or rival mage groups. Maybe not rival, but opposing other continents who have their own magical needs.
It's possible. You can give me a history check.
24.
Information about the politics and the governments of the far continent doesn't always reach Westamar. But one notable thing that is known to people like yourself who are studied and informed about that is that are two facts historically. First of all, the far continent does not have anything like the Edicts of Lumen.
Yeah.
And so in the far continent, it is said that there are mage lords and nobility that wield magic. The other thing that you know about the far continent in that respect is that the only other sort of whispers that you've heard is that the far continent seems to currently be in the midst of a pretty dire armed conflict amongst several nations that are there. To what extent that is occurring is unknown. The other two details that you know about the far continent is that the faith of this sacred flame has reached the far continent, though it might not have the same, it doesn't have the same organization as it does here. And the final point that you also do know about it, it is known that one of the last sorcerer kings did flee to the far continent, and may have established a dynasty there. It's unknown to most of the folk of the continent whether or not it became anything more than that, but that is that the story goes that at least one of them did flee.
And we have reason to suspect that that they could potentially be one of the main buyers. Not necessarily the Sorcerer King, but just the Far Continent in general could be one of the main buyers of delirium that's being ported out
Yes.
from Dransman. Right. Do we know who from the Far Continent is here? Is it any notable person from any known, do we know the names of cities and nations there?
Elias Drexel shakes his head. I know very little about it, but if anyone would be able to make the introduction, it would be the Duke.
Right.
And so if there are any guests amongst here that are from the Far Continent, it wouldn't surprise me if they wanted to speak to you. But you need not make anyone any promises this evening. Many will approach you tonight asking you for favors, promises, guarantees, and all you need to say to them is that you will take it under consideration. You do not need to give anyone any answers tonight. You owe them nothing.
I'm here as a guest, but I will be cordial, and I will listen, and I this isn't my first. What's that Caspian thing with the horses and bulls and rodeo?
Have you ever been to a Caspian rodeo?
No, but there's a saying I read once.
It's barbaric.
Yeah, I honestly the saying I don't really get it, but this isn't my first rodeo.
Very well.
It's actually a pretty good setup. He's kind of prepping you really well for this.
I know. Elias is great. I love him. I'm glad I didn't stab him in the throat.
Great counsel. Yeah.
A fanfare sounds as the guard, as a herald announces for all to rise in honor of King Wilhelm von Kessel, rightful ruler of Westamar, as you are led into the banquet hall. Several long tables have been set up throughout this room, over which is arranged a sumptuous feast. There are steaming lobsters and crab legs, beautiful arrays of fresh fish, all with beautiful vegetables, coleslaws. There are sort of platters, seafood platters that are arranged in tiers. Shrimp cocktails, all that good stuff. And what is assembled here in this banquet? The room overlooks the bay, with grand windows and a balconies kind of stretching out so that you can see here. And the assembled in this room is perhaps what is best described as a motley crew. Of both individuals who look like they are military officers garbed in fanciful versions of the common soldiers, to people that look like they are fresh off of a pirate ship, complete with tricorn hats and bandoliers of pistols that are strapped to their sides. Everyone here is armed to the teeth, as it is not their custom to put away their weapons when they go ashore. And so people, there are the vast majority of people in this room are also armed with rapiers, and are proudly wearing the blades. And you can see that essentially the Duke has prepared a high table for yourself, where he will be seated right beside you so that the two of you can converse. And then there are other tables that have been arranged for his captains and for the other esteemed guests that have been welcomed here. Again, the Marines and the Hooded Lanterns have taken positions to watch over everything. And the banquet hall, finally, this is not the Great Hall where the dragon turtle skeleton is arranged. Instead, in this chamber, in the banquet hall, arranged up overhead is actually the skeleton of a rock, one of the birds. And so it has been overranged, and what is actually still in it, kind of that hangs the chandelier of the room, is in the body of the rock is the ballista shot that still has the chain dangling from it that took the beast down. And so the ballista, the kind of this ballista hangs through its rib cage and through part of its spine, and then the chain dangles down, and the chandelier that illuminates the chamber hangs off of the chain that was attached to the rock.
Elias, take note. I'd like one of those in our castle.
Didn't you get shot with a ballista once?
Yes.
Yeah.
It took down one of these and nearly took down me. You're not
All
even
of
here.
the although Castle Baden is sumptuously appointed, all of the tables as well are kind of made with this driftwood of old shipwrecks that has been then covered over with resin. Have you ever seen those tables that have like what looks like the sort of the dyed resin in them that then looks like the wave? So that's how all of the tables here are constructed. And then there's of course the seat. Well, a seat of high honor has been prepared for you. Von Baden's chair here is kind of made from the helm wheel of a ship, and kind of has that like that is up above the chair, and then has kind of what looks like, it's not actual seaweed, but like a motif of dangling seaweed carved into it. And so there is a grand applause welcoming you as the fanfare sounds. And once again, rifles are fired and cannons are shot.
Where's Rudy?
Not here.
No. I slap Elias on the shoulder, and I look at him, and assuming that he knows exactly what I mean, I go, Rule 85. And then I walk away to take my seat.
Elias Drexel kind of just rubs his temples and takes his seat. As the staff comes around with drinks and platters of food, the Duke von Baden says, "Pulled out all the stops for you, Your Majesty. We'll have a feast here most nights of your stay. It has been the talk of the town to get a treasured seat amongst your company."
I appreciate it. I didn't anticipate such a large audience for my arrival, but it's good to see you bring people together for occasions such as this.
Indeed. Now, of course, mind the grog. Wouldn't want you to pass over or keel over.
I can handle my drink.
Very good. Very good. Well, the Duke says, "I certainly don't want to make everything about business here tonight or whatnot, but I must say, I have heard, Wilhelm von Kessel, that you are quite the duelist."
Indeed, I was trained as a duelist at a young age by my father. I participated in many, we'll say, friendly duels, dueling contests and that sort. Mind you, my real experience came in the field once I started on my adventures through Westamar, where I have fought many foes, some noble duelists, some not so noble, but I have felled many beasts, and I know the ins and outs of every form of dueling, whether it be Caspian, Westamarian, or even Illyrian duels. Well versed.
One of the captains that is at a far table who seems to already be a bit in his cups. He's a large man with a big red beard, and he says, "That's what I like to hear! A king that's a proper fighter, not like your uncle!"
No, indeed. My uncle did prefer to stay in his castle and command from his throne, which some kings do. I am more of a person who likes to get my hands dirty in the field with my people.
To that! And they're
No.
Drinking.
and Duke von Baden says, "It's quite a bit of a talk is about your adventurous nature, and I must say, as someone who's had my time in the field as well, I respect that very, very much. I find that there are too many amongst the nobility, and there have been too many amongst your family that haven't had the warrior spirit, the adventurous spirit, and that is something that I think I think was leading Westamar in the wrong direction.
Well, I appreciate that you see the efforts I make to stand apart from the leaders who have come before me. I do not wish to do things the way that they have been done. As far as I see it, the ruin of Westamar and the lasting war was a terrible thing, but it does leave an opening for us to think about how we would want things to be better.
Indeed. That said, I have felt the need to keep myself to shallow waters. Things far out to sea have grown very uncertain, and the future feels like it's caught in a storm. Many here think, with respect, Your Majesty, that Dransmund is better off on its own.
Well, Duke, obviously not as nautically inclined as you, but a rising tide lifts all boats, and I think a united Westamar has a better chance of standing up to the threats that oppose us, the problems that have plagued us, better than us separating would ever do. I do think that we need to look at the bigger pictures out there and decide what it is that we can accomplish together, rather than worry about what we need to do apart.
I can't afford to be moored to a dying port. To find all my stores plundered and my coffers emptied. Dransmund has been able to weather what has happened over the past several years because we have played it carefully. Now, you're my guest. We don't need to get too far into it yet, Your Majesty, but if you've come here to take my fleet, take my coin, without offering anything in return, we might have some difficulties. But I think that if we can not pass like ships in the night, but instead meet in the middle together, we could be able to set sail together.
Duke, my intention is to make sure that we have as smooth of a course with as good of weather as possible moving forward. I do not wish to take from you without offering you anything. I wish to hear you out and decide what it is that mutually benefits both of us, and see how we can come to terms.
I like the sound of that. Well, let me tell you what, and as they serve more food, he says, there are many things of mutual interest to ourselves that are important. And I must say that I find myself very conflicted over how to navigate the rocky waters ahead. There are great treasures to be had, lots of profit to be made, but we need to safeguard our own waters as well.
Just to make sure, he seems to be referring to the delirium situation.
Give me an insight check.
So that's going to be 18.
He's dancing around the topic, but that's definitely what he's referring to. You get the sense that he doesn't want to quite get into it, but he's putting it forward because he knows that it has to be acknowledged.
All right. I take a moment, kind of analyzing the situation, and I say, we'll ensure that, one thing that we want to make sure of is that, Dransmund has always been one of the wealthiest ports in Westamar, and I don't plan on that changing, but we want to make sure that the land that is supported by your kingdom is healthy and vibrant and helps feed your coffers as well.
Very good, very good. I planned a few other things for this week, and I hope that they will show you the best of what we have to offer. I thought that beyond all of our banquets, I thought that I would take you personally on a tour of the fleet.
I would love that, and we don't have to strictly talk business. If it's anything at all to you, I actually would would greatly enjoy any stories you have of earlier pirate adventures or seafaring
Absolutely.
battles.
And I must say, I also forget myself. I heard a tale that some months ago, my daughter was waylaid during her travels. And she referred to how she had been helped out of that situation by one Wilhelm Wolfsbane.
Yes, indeed.
That wouldn't have happened to been you, was it?
It was, for reasons that I believe are quite obvious, although maybe I did it for too long. I went by a different moniker after the death of my whole family, as you can imagine. We don't have to get into that, but...
No, I respect it. For myself, I went by a few different monikers and aliases while I was trawling the seas too, and I think it's an admirable thing. I feel that we all need our... between you and me, as someone who is also a second son, I feel that it gives one a better perspective when you're not first in line.
Yes, my older sister was always meant to be the ruler of the Von Kessel name. Sadly, I'm all that's left, and so I went through most of my youth, as I imagine you did, suspecting that I would be nothing but a pampered child of a crown who sought their own adventures without worry of having to make decisions for a nation. But when that responsibility is thrust upon you, at least you have a little bit of the world underneath your feet to make decisions.
Absolutely. And I'm to understand now that, what do you make of this whole, speaking of aliases, what do you make of this rumor that I've heard?
I would make assumptions on what you're talking about, but I think for a topic such as this, I'd like to be clear. What is it that you're referring to?
Well, ships that go far ashore and travelers coming in, I hear all sorts of things, and I've known for a long time about a certain character that goes by the name the Queen of Thieves.
Yes.
And it's come across my deck that this Queen of Thieves may be in fact your cousin, Katarina von Kessel. Is there truth to that?
I'm not here to hold any secrets from you. Yes. But she is mage-born. She's dangerous. Although I do have love in my heart for finding another member of my family still alive, she is not fit to rule, and she would do dangerous things to this continent. She has banded together thieves, murderers, people who can't be trusted and who have done horrible things to many others, and she has gone to great lengths to damage reputations and harm people who sought to better this nation.
With respect, Your Majesty, you could say the same about half my captains.
Fair enough.
And I've done my time on the high seas. There's a few things that I've done my fair share of things that I regret. Are you certain that there's not a way to appease her with some kind of position or some kind of, rather than have her at your neck?
The thought has crossed my mind, and I believe, if I'm not mistaken, she has been offered allyship several times. We've offered to let her be... she would be a great informant for the kingdom. She would be a great... she could be the person who gathers intel, who knows the secrets, and she would be excellent at that sort of job, but she
Seems
doesn't...
to me that she already does that sort of thing, and that she isn't looking for that in an official capacity. That's just her nature. I mean, her smugglers and her contacts, even in Dransmond, I can tell you, the people associated with her, she's got her fingers in basically everything happening in this city. We've never met in person, but her network and her connections here are strong and powerful, and I guarantee you that amongst my captains and admirals, she could at least have half, 2/3 of them in her pockets. Now, of course, they're in my pockets too.
What about you, Duke? Have you done any work for the Queen of Thieves?
Not directly, but I must say that I have profited greatly off of her enterprise. Because the one thing that she has not done is try to get around my dock fees and port fees. The Dransmond Port Authority is something that in all her business dealings that she has respected. Now, of course, I've loosened some of the rules on what can and can't go through the ports here, but it's made me a pretty penny.
I don't want to change any of the dock fees or anything of that sort either. I just... What the Queen of Thieves can do for us is yet to be seen. She is a manipulator, and she will use everything at her disposal to try to twist the situation. You say that you could say the same for yourself, or I could say the same for myself. But in meeting the Queen of Thieves in person, meeting Katerina again as an adult, it's clear that there's a certain level of morals. Even in our brief exchange, I see you as a man of etiquette and a man of fairness. You seem to have a heart that's in the right place. Like myself. My experiences with Katerina have been that of somebody who, I don't want to use the term heartless, but she seems of a more vile nature than people like you and I. And that scares me.
Scares you?
I don't trust her. I wouldn't turn my back on her.
Seems wise. I wouldn't either. But scared of her.
If she has the capabilities of manipulating the people around me, that's a danger that needs to be taken care of. And if I find out that the people I'm trying to work with are working for the Queen of Thieves, that's going to be a dangerous situation.
My experience, Your Majesty, the best way to make sure that people aren't going to turn their backs on you is make sure that you're offering them the best. The best deal on the table. As far as I'm concerned, the glitter of gold is the best manipulator of them all. And as long as you have people that are happy with what they're taking home in their pockets, you're going to find that they're agreeable to almost anything. Now, there's a few people that might not be the exceptions for, but for this lot, that's absolutely the case.
Duke, I have a set of rules that I live by. Rule number 63, gold has no value to the dead. The glitter of gold may be a great asset, but do not think that the Queen of Thieves won't stab you in the back if she thinks that she can benefit further from that.
Well,
I don't plan to
fair
stab
enough.
you in the back.
Fair enough, Your Majesty. Well, I think that with that, we should have another round, and I should introduce you to some of our guests. And as he gestures that, we'll shift our scene to Rudi and Wrath.
Heading down the halls
Yep.
quickly, because we know we're late for dinner.
But inconspicuously.
yeah.
As much as we can.
As much
Passing
as we
people,
can.
kind of nodding. All right. So, sorry, what way was it to the where this
We take a left down the stairs,
Okay.
through the kitchen, towards the loading dock.
grab a potato as I'm going.
A raw potato?
Uh-oh, what are you going to do with that?
You never know.
I can kill you with this or this. You get to decide, Bram.
I mean, a potato is an object, so it is a valid target for true polymorph.
Turn it into a bigger potato.
I go to you and say, you never know when we're going to need something like this.
You hand me a potato?
Yeah.
This must be some kind of, like, weird forest thing.
No, it's a potato. I'm not here.
Just you never know, Wrath. Alright? Best
No, I know.
prepared for all
I
scenarios.
know what to do with this thing.
Alright. Don't throw it.
I'll keep it. I'll
a good
keep
snack.
the potato, I guess.
Regardless. Alright. Show me where. Gotta find the manifest.
Up to a great start.
It's just thrown off my whole. I had a whole plan, and now I have to incorporate this. I gotta rewrite everything. Gotta start from scratch. I gotta go back
Plan
upstairs.
C, D, and E, alright? You never know.
I'm gonna stop a page or someone walking by, and I just grab them on the shoulder, and and I don't do it intentionally, but I'm holding the potato as I talk to them. I go, "Where's Bram?"
The page, small boy of no more than 14 with lanky limbs and long, dirty blonde hair, says to you,
I lean down in his face. Where's Bram?
counting the stocks, this way.
And then I march off behind him, keeping a pace that's faster than his, so he knows to speed up. So he has to jog a little bit.
He leads you through to back past the room where you took the potato, where you find a rather flustered Bram, who is noting, "Where's that potato?"
I enter the room.
Bram is there with the stocks and conferring with a few others, and the man stops and says, "Oh, you're the captain and the king's mage."
Of course I am.
Beg pardon. Everything's in order. You found the missing potato.
And this is only one of the many infractions. Give me that. And I reach my hand and I go to grab the manifest from his hand.
He doesn't. He releases it.
And I hand him the potato. That did come in handy.
As
And
the page boy's going, I say, "I'm sorry for your trouble. Here's a little go get some candy. Go on, come on, go on." I send him off.
let's look at it.
Come back, come.
Yeah. That's good. And I start scanning the manifest, specifically for where is that caviar being bought.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, give me an investigation check.
Can I guidance myself?
Sure.
You got this. You say to yourself.
21.
21. Okay. Looking through the manifest, you see that
It's a scroll, right? So I'm like, kind of going through.
Rolls out.
You can see that the manifest notes several of the ships that were that have come back with these various fish, and the craft that is noted at bringing like high quality and rare things like the caviar and the fish eggs is a sailing vessel known as the Mermaid's Bounty.
The Mermaid's Bounty.
I do want to ask, is it Bram? What? That's what I said. Have there been any new ships that you've been taking these goods from? Anything stand out?
Bram says, "I myself don't generally do most of the buying in person. We send castle staff down to purchase things, and they bring back the logs, and I just keep the books and track everything, all the orders that the steward sends to me. So I just know where it came from, for the most part."
But you see some pretty familiar faces coming in and out, dropping things off.
Our staff that delivers is our castle staff.
Oh, all right.
Right. So I have several porters that are on our payroll that they are paid to go across to the harbor, purchase what is needed, and then the ships send the bill to the back this way so they can be paid directly. This way we don't have to give the common folk and the porters any actual coin to trade. They're instead given letters of credit and mark that they can redeem from the dockmasters instead, and that way we can do all the buying and no coin needs to be exchanged.
So anyone on this dock is someone who's from your staff?
For the most part, they are usually from our staff, or then they'll come over from we'll have workers from the harbor that come over and deliver things. Sometimes the ship is told what we'll pay for, and then they deliver it. But for the most part, everyone here is part of our staff. Obviously, we've had to hire on a lot of extra hands with all the events happening with the king coming on. So usually what we'll do is we'll just head down to the docks and pay a couple porters. There's plenty of laborers.
I'm gonna get really close to him, like really close, like where he can like smell my breath, and I point to the Mermaid's Bounty. Is this a ship you have done business with?
He says, I don't go down to the docks myself. I just check things as they come back in. But the Mermaid's Bounty is a ship that has been on the rolls for a long time, especially in providing some of the higher end delicacies that we like. I understand that it docks, it often spends quite a long time out at sea, but I believe it's a fishing vessel.
As I'm really close to him, I'm gonna look for gills. I want to look for like...
Okay, give me a perception check.
I want to smell him.
Is he covered up?
No.
Okay.
I get a 10, 11.
He's... It's your best guess, he seems and smells normal. I beg your pardon.
I'm going to, and other than the Mermaid's Bounty, there's no, I return the manifest to him.
He says, if you're worried about poison or contamination, the chefs in the kitchen know exactly what to look for. Everything is disposed of if we find anything. It has been a problem that we're aware of.
Show me the disposals.
Mm-hmm.
Certainly, I can show you. We know that many of the fishers and our buyers don't necessarily know what to look for. And there have been many that have figured it out now that it's been enough of a problem in Dransman, but it does happen occasionally, and if anything does come into the kitchen that doesn't look like it's good enough for eating, then we do make sure it's properly disposed of.
Show me the disposal.
Certainly.
Thank you. And I'm still going to be really uncomfortably close to him. Just like right in his personal space. Still looking for gills. Or maws. Or spider limbs crawling up from his back. I've experienced some of these mutations. I know what to look for.
Are we on the dock now? Like, is that where it is?
Are we in the kitchen still?
Is it in
no,
the kitchen?
He's in the stockroom. He was in the stockroom.
Okay.
Yeah. He says, come along. I'll lead you to where we dispose of.
You are most helpful, Bram.
Thank you. He takes you along to there's kind of there's the washing chambers, but where most things get disposed of, he notes that at many of the castle latrines simply empty down the sides of the castle and then go into the sea, right? And so
smart. That's what we're drinking. And
well, I mean,
Is that my bathwater? No.
that's like literally where you're back.
Next to the bathwater pipe. That
typically people know enough to make sure that in the castle in particular, and this is what is also a thing to be aware of, is that fresh water comes from the river, but it is a salt water, so you're not necessarily going to bring your drinking water from up there. So there actually are wells and cisterns that has been brought in as more of a groundwater source, right?
Yeah.
And it's not, and while delirium does flow down, and the water in the bay is partially contaminated, there's still enough water and measures, but there is a refuse pit in the castle where things are disposed of, and he leads you. He says that the where we actually take all the refuse is outside the palace. There's pass through the stables where we dispose of most things. And then they're eventually the gong wagons pick up and take it and dispose of it in the refuse pits for the city.
Well,
I'm satisfied for now.
If you'd like, I can there's various cesspits and privies in the castle, and he says if you want to talk to Marwin, he's our gong farmer.
We will charter a boat for the mermaid's bounty immediately.
well, last question is, are there common things that come in that seem to be more contaminated than others at the
A
ships?
few of the fish, we look for signs of any mutations on the fish, and we kill them and dispose of them, and that's the most common thing really that we see. But then all of that gets disposed of. We take it to the cesspits and the refuse pits, and then it eventually gets moved out from the castle via the carts and wagons that dispose of our refuse, and then there are the pits where it's just dumped over into the sea.
What about some of the finer items? Fish eggs, perhaps?
It's possible that things like that might end up in the refuse pit. I must actually say that things like the caviar and the fish eggs have been ordered specially for this event, so we don't often see those in, but we have ordered more. They most of the fish has to come in fresh each day, and so we actually had to put out to the fishers that we wanted to get fish eggs and things so that it could come in fresh.
Okay. You'd think something like fish eggs would be monitored a bit closely for their rarity and their,
They're expensive,
delicacy.
certainly. Yes.
All right. I think we do need to take a trip to the Mermaid's Bounty.
Yes, quickly.
Mm-hmm.
Bring us a boat, Bram.
Absolutely. I can have some of the porters take you over right away.
Fantastic.
Well, you're not making it to dinner, are you?
We might end up being dinner.
Should we bring Wilhelm?
Should we save him? Don't eat any of the caviar. Did we show you the caviar?
Yeah.
What did you do with the caviar?
Oh, I think we still have
I still have it, yeah. I still have some.
Okay.
Yeah. I just find it fish, of course, if they're in the bay and stuff, but caviar seems like something I'd go through inspection.
Smash cut to Wilhelm. This is delicious caviar. Exquisite. And the fish, great. Is that a tentacle?
Yes, from the octopus.
Ah, great.
Oh, yeah,
Excellent.
yeah.
He holds up the
This
octopus
is
tentacle.
calamari.
I love octopus.
Calamari, yeah.
Rudy might... I don't know if it's ignorance or a diabolical scheme, but I can't help but shake the fact that something is going on behind the scenes.
Of course.
I feel like I've seen this before, and maybe my prejudice plays a part.
No, I think we best be cautious, especially since, again, it's not just the food. It's those folks you saw. And if we're running into purposeful plant of contaminated foods, I'm not liking the idea of that.
There is the off chance that these fish folk are just trying to make ends meet, and they are simply just trying to survive in a non-fish folk world because we disrupted their entire lifestyle so aggressively. And they're just like on a ship, and they just go catch fish and sell them and just try to be part of the economy.
Just trying to make it. Rough times.
Yeah, and they have to
Yeah.
hide their true nature behind like the gloves, and then they're just like totally
Oh,
passive.
now you're making me feel bad.
Yeah, I do. I wonder.
Okay,
Only
so
Bram just like was the end of the line. Would have been a lot easier.
the question is, does this require something where it's... Are we going to get ourselves into trouble if we go now? Is this something that you think the trail's going to go cold on if we don't leave immediately?
Maybe we go attend dinner and bring Wilhelm.
Yeah.
For our a nautical evening, an evening of the stars, an evening on the seas.
Sea and stars.
Sea and stars.
All right, let's go update him.
Yeah.
On what we saw.
Yeah.
Bram just says, you'll just want to know that any of the fishing ships, they'll dock overnight. They'll stay overnight, but they usually do leave very early in the morning, even sometimes before dawn.
All right, we best get this done now.
Yeah. Early dinner, early bed. Wink.
Okay.
So, Rudy, do we head to dinner?
Yeah.
Okay,
I'm not changing my clothes though.
Yeah, I'm wearing exactly what I wore.
Alrighty. You head back to dinner, and
You wore that?
That's all I had.
You head back to dinner as dusk begins to fall. Looking out, it is a spectacular sunset of red and orange over the bay. But as you look out, the Duke says, "It's a beautiful sunset. Going to be a storm tonight, though. I can tell."
Oh, you know?
He points towards the clouds. My best guess is that it'll clear up by the morning, and a good storm over the night should be excellent for hopefully it's calm waters in the morning. But anyone out will want to stay moored in overnight.
So
It's the clouds.
How convenient.
the ships aren't
I
going
say.
nowhere this evening then.
One of the other captains says, "I wouldn't want to be sailing out there tonight." And another says, "No, not at all. Might be a beautiful evening right now, but I'll bet you we're going to be in for a raging storm this evening."
And my plan is to go out in a little dinghy. We're gonna go out in the smallest rowboat we can find.
Wait, we're going
Rudy's
out?
gonna row it.
One of the other one of the other captains laughs and says, "They're not making any fancy predictions in saying that. We've had a storm practically every night for weeks.
Every night.
Almost, yeah.
Like clockwork?
It's been pretty common."
Isn't that unusual?
In your 30 years of sailing, is this like the weirdest stretch of weeks?
They say, one of the captains says, it's not abnormal for there to be lots of storms along the Crystal Coast in general.
Right.
But they've been pretty bad of late. And they hit a little bit harder further inland. We're gonna get it here tonight.
I might need to retire early. The fish, right? That's what we're doing?
Yes.
The fish is not sitting well.
Oh no, is your stomach hurting?
no, Mr.
Oh. Oh dear.
You ate too
Give
much.
me a deception check.
Uh-oh. All that talk about me being proficient in everything except still a bad liar. But I still get a 19.
The Duke is aghast, and he says, "Your Majesty, I am so sorry.
It's...
I will have the kitchen staff beaten."
Oh
No, Duke?
no.
Acceptable.
No.
Start with Bram.
Duke?
Work your way through.
I didn't... I know the reputation that this city has. I'm not...
My chef knows how much was riding on this. I will string them up behind my ship, and
No, Duke, I've never been good with seafood. I love it, but it doesn't love me. Especially not when I'm drinking as well. So,
You ate far too much. He just
Yeah.
enjoyed himself.
why did I have 3 plates? You know, I knew this was going to happen. I need to go use the little boy's room.
Very well, Your Majesty.
But tell the chef, like the
Excellent.
flavors exquisite. This this, what do you call this? And I just hold up like generic fish. What is this?
Salmon.
Salmon. Incredible. Let the chef know.
Very, very well, Your Majesty. I had hoped to introduce you to a few more folk this evening, but they can wait their turns.
Yes, I mean, I imagine that I still have been here, like, I don't want to leave at, like, a really inopportune time. Like, we've gotten into the dinner, I'd say.
Give me an insight check.
Is it inappropriate that you're leaving?
It's going to be a 16.
It is not inappropriate for a king to do whatever he wants to do.
Yeah, but I want to be...
There were but you get the sense that the Duke was hoping to talk to you more, and that there were lots of people here that wanted to talk to you tonight. And so people will be disappointed, and it might create the impression that you are flighty.
Ooh.
At what time do we have to leave, guys? Can we give this another, what? Okay.
Do I have a healing potion?
You
Or,
promised
like a regular
me
healing
that you were
potion?
gonna leave the party at 9, and it is 9:30, and you're still here.
Give me till 11.
You have to at least make your rounds, but
You know what?
we gotta make sure
you know
we're
what?
on it.
Yeah, maybe you go empty yourself and return, and if you got a save face.
I run to the washroom, and I
Sprint.
come back, and I'm like, Duke, it's all good. Why don't you introduce me to a few of these people?
Okay. As
Wrath?
you run to the washroom,
Yeah.
roll me a d6.
Uh-oh.
I get a 4.
Okay. You run to the latrines, and leaving the latrines, having freshly cleaned things, is the castle gong farmer, and you see him. He has like thick wrappings all around his face and over his nose. And he's wearing a big heavy coat with thick gloves that are covered in grime and mud, and he has a shovel and a bucket. and as you pass by, you just hear him say, "Your Majesty," and he walks and he kind of waddles away, and he gestures for you to use the latrine.
is that Marwin? Is that Marwin?
That was supposed to be the guy we were supposed to talk to, and we didn't think it was important.
Not to give him a name we should have known.
Okay, wait. Like, no, maybe I shouldn't create a scene. Okay.
Do you poop in his freshly cleaned bathroom? That's the question. He just finished cleaning it.
I make sure to. I go back to the dinner, and I come in, and I grab Wrath and Rudi, and I'm like, you guys, the guy who cleans the latrines,
What did you do to him?
he's just a weirdo. I just want you guys to know that. Straight up, his voice is weird, he looks weird.
What do you mean it looks... That's not very nice,
wearing-
Wilhelm. You gotta be nicer to the citizens, even if they look a bit off.
He was wearing a big thick coat, he had head wraps on, gloves, and
Doesn't he deal with poop all day? Doesn't that seem appropriate?
the guy who
Seems
cleans
like-
poop in Castle, in
No,
the-
that's actually pretty normal. Like having things to like cover things, like pretty normal appearance. For
He's
a
just
dog.
doing his job
He's
and
just
has
trying
proper
to make a living.
protective equipment on.
I can't believe this kingly thing has gone to your head. No, sorry.
all right, forget I said anything. Carry on.
Yeah, forget it.
No,
We're
was
trying-
there anything?
Look, that's a dead end. That's a, whatever you have is a total dead end. It's a unraveled string. It's ended. We know where to go.
All right, Wrath, this is your investigation. I'll trust you on that.
Bram mentioned something about him, didn't he?
Wait,
Though?
he did mention that he was the one that disposes of the contaminated material.
Was there anything else suspect about his appearance other than he was wrapped in proper protective equipment?
Did he have gills?
I couldn't see a bit of him. That's what was weird. Don't you like? I thought we were looking.
I
Not one
understand
bit.
what you're saying.
No, not a single. No part of him was showing.
No flesh was showing.
I mean, Wrath, does that sound similar to what you saw?
the porters that I did encounter earlier. They were completely covered, head to toe. Except for, I could see sort of the faces and the goggles.
Loose eyes.
Yeah, you're right.
Okay.
Okay, I'll give you credit.
You go schmooze the pirates, and we will investigate this guy.
Don't get on that boat without me.
Which way was he going?
I don't know.
So the latrines are right out there. He was moving left and down the hall.
I have to go to the bathroom. And I...
Me too.
Come on, Rudy!
And I start walking up to people at the party. I'm just like, hello, 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 hi.
Hi, King of Westermar. Nice to meet you.
The Duke of Dransmond introduces you to several of his captains, who all greet you, and they want to share stories of swashbuckling and adventure as they do, and a few of them all say, and a few of them say, here you're quite. We should have some stoppered rapiers brought up from the armory, and we should see you and the Duke have a friendly little duel.
Absolutely, it sounds a treat.
And the Duke of Dransmond says, with respect, Your Majesty, but I've heard great things about you, but I don't even think you could beat my daughter, let alone me.
Ooh, you hear from the hallway.
I'll have you know that I am the greatest duelist in Westermar, and that is without a doubt. If you want, we can take a duel at dawn. Oh, wait, we'll...
You're going to be up all night.
Oh, man, I'm going to...
Is that a challenge?
Yes.
Well then, I say in the morning we will take a tour, and you can come to my flagship, the Ashen Sovereign, and we can have a little duel on the deck.
Will it be against yourself, your daughter, or both?
He turns and says, "Verona, what do you say?" She says, "Well, Dad, I think you're getting a little bit old, so you would be a good practice run to see if the king can actually keep up with me." Very well.
Milady, it will be an honor to fight you.
Wait, how old
Am
is
I-
he?
He's in his mid-40s.
Oh.
I'm like in my mid-30s.
Yeah, yeah, and so Verona von Baden, the Duke of Dransmond is unmarried, and you do know that he was a little bit of a player in his younger years. Verona is, from what you understand, the one of several children that he legitimized.
Okay.
Yes, but he got, suffice to say, Von Baden's been around.
He's young in my books, comparatively.
Yeah.
Wilhelm blushes as he passes Verona, and is just like, I'm excited to duel you.
Looking forward to it myself. We'll see if you can keep up.
Oh, I'm sure I can. This is Wilhelm flirting. It's through duels.
Yeah.
It gives you a chance to have a good conversation, you know?
Does it? Or will we just be...
It's like a date.
I mean, Wilhelm's like...
If you can't duel and converse, are you really the best duelist?
I need to work on what I'm going to say.
And finally,
Study your nautical
the
terms.
Duke brings you, Wilhelm, to two other curious figures. They are a man and a woman, although maybe not. They're rather androgynous in their appearance because both of them are completely clean-shaven. They don't even have eyebrows. So they're completely bald and they've shaved off their eyebrows. And in place, both of them are covered in series of markings and tattooed runes across their face and their body, and both of them have a wide range of esoteric piercings. Very pertinently, as you take a look at their appearance, one of them, each of them, on their left ear, has a cascading series of gemstone piercings going from their earlobe and up, in a very clear order, and they're both the same, and this is on both, just on their left ear, and one of them having 7 studs in their earbud, and the other having 5. And they're both garbed in these almost blood red robes, and the Duke von Baden says, "Should be some interesting ones for you to meet, Your Majesty. I would like to introduce you to Malzire Vexum and Callus Manera of the Illuminated Chamber." And the two wizards, they don't bow, they simply nod. They say, "Von Kessel."
Pleasure to meet both of you. Mageborn from across the ocean.
They nod for a moment, and they say, "Yes, we have traveled far. We come from the city of Zamarkand in distant Evelion."
I appreciate. Has the trip been worthwhile for you? Are you here? You can't be here specifically to meet me. This must be quite a long trip for you.
The two mages look at each other, and exchange knowing glances, and then back to one another. Give me an insight check.
It's gonna be a 10 instead, which is 16.
Because you've been under the effects of this spell before yourself, these two are almost certainly telepathically bonded. So they're communicating. Like you just get the sense that, like, the way they just turn their heads, that they're talking to each other telepathically. And the one, and the one of the mages say, the one that was introduced as Malzire says, "No, that you are here was a fortuitous accident of our visit. We are here instead in Dransmund to trade."
Well, I hope that the trades go well for you, and that the trip is beneficial, and I hope you enjoy your stay in our lovely nation of Westamar.
Yes, indeed. It has been a most fortuitous trade, and we are glad to see that our coin spends well here in Westamar.
If it's private, by all means, feel free to let me know. But may I ask, what is it that you came to trade for?
They pause again. They say, "There is no sense concealing it. We have come to purchase the crystals."
And what is it that the Illuminated Chamber... sorry for all the questions. I'm very curious about... if you haven't heard much about me, I'm a bit of a historian. I spend a lot of my time reading and researching and learning about other cultures, different lands. So, pardon my prying. I don't mean to intrude. I just am curious. What is it that the Illuminated Chamber is doing with these crystals? Is it for research purposes or other?
They respond and say, "We have found ourselves in a very profitable time, and We are where we come from, we are brokers of magical goods and equipment, and we understand that the crystals are very, very excellent for this purpose.
They are.
Currently, there is some strife in the lands where we come from,
Sorry to hear that.
and weapons and powerful magic are of great value to us there.
Makes sense. Similar to what it's being used for here, I would say. And our Amethyst Academy has done a lot of research into controlling and weaponizing this very product for our own military needs. So it sounds like you are following suit to what we have discovered here in our own lands.
Yes, we understand that your academy is trying to make sure that they are the only ones with access to the crystals. We very much hope that you do not decide to do that, and Your Majesty, it would be very profitable for your nation if that was not the case.
I assure you that whatever decisions I end up making, the Academy will not have sole ownership over the crystals.
Both the Chamber and the Mage Lords of Sphere will pay far more than your pathetic academy for these crystals.
There's no need to call them pathetic. We're not here to throw harsh words. I'm sure that we can all get along.
With respect, Your Majesty, the amateurs that run your pathetic academy are but children playing with forces they don't understand. They have been limited too long by your laws, and it has made them weak and lacking in creativity.
Well, it was a pleasure meeting you two. I have other people that I need to meet. If I ever find myself across the pond, I'll make sure to stop by the illuminated chamber and pay you two a visit.
Very well. Thank you for speaking with us.
And thank you as well. It's been an absolute honor. And then I turn and I walk away and I kind of mumble like, oh, those guys were jerks.
Talking about playing with forces you can't control, maybe they play with a little bit of fire. Get their eyebrows back, you know?
Where were you on that? Like, you're off in the hallway?
Too close to the flames there.
Actually, it's probably best that you weren't in the room there. You probably would have threatened them. Or...
That would have been some words, yeah.
Don't forget, take it under advisement. Take it under advisement.
I will take it under advisement.
Oh, yeah. I will take it under advisement. And yeah, as I walk away.
Well, going back to Rudi and Wrath.
I'm on a much more important mission. Finding that man who collects the poop.
Running! Where's the bathroom?
One of the highest honors of an academy mage.
Finding the
Cast live ninth level spells.
Like we're passing people in the hallway, just being like, "Do you see a man with a bucket?"
So, what is high-level D&D? Well, today we chased a man who collects poop. Level 17 D&D. I can cast 9th level spells, and I chase men who collect poop.
And it's not beneath me. Okay? It's not
Everything is beneath you.
Oh yeah, I flutter in the air.
Oh yeah.
Start flying.
Oh. So
Follow Wilhelm's directions to the T.
Yeah. Following Wilhelm back to the latrine, you're able to ask another castle servant, like, did you see
Gong.
the?
Is his name Gong?
Marwin.
No, he is a gong farmer.
Oh, a Gong farmer.
Yes.
Marwin.
Yes. So his job is to clean the cesspits and the latrines.
Okay, we're gonna find the Gong farmer.
Yes.
Marwin.
Yes.
Marwin.
Yes.
You got this.
Where's Marwin?
Yeah.
Where's
His name
Gong?
is yes.
You know what I mean.
Yeah.
I'll kill you.
They one of the servants say, well, he's probably headed for the cesspit. I think his bucket was kind of full.
Where's that?
And which way is that?
They direct you downstairs and out where there is like essentially a part of the castle grounds where they've dug like a cesspit and outhouse that they can just dump everything into, and then clear. Then eventually that gets cleared out and taken away. And so you head outside the castle, and it's as you head outside, the sun is beginning to set, and a light rain is starting to fall. That is when you see just there's guards patrolling the castle grounds, but it is not long before you come back around the stables, and on the other side of the stables is where the cesspit is.
Do we catch up with Marwyn?
Do we see anyone?
Well, back out behind the stables, shoveling a pile of unmentionables into a pit is he's wearing a heavy jacket, he's got a shovel, and he's kind of emptying the bucket into one of the pits.
Are we alone?
There's a few stable hands about, but yeah, you're pretty much alone.
You know what to do. Interrogation. Surprise interrogation. I say in Rudy's mind.
I just yell, Marwyn!
He says, "What is it? I've got work to do."
That's all right. We all got work to do. Bram sent us your way, and you might be able to answer a few questions of ours.
He shoves his shovel into the ground, and there's kind of like this squicking noise, and then he comes forward, and you can hear like the squelch of his boots as he walks up towards you. The smell of him is awful. The like just it's just like, yeah, everything. Yeah.
I'm nice to meet you.
He comes over to you, and he's wearing kind of one of those like wide-brimmed hats, and he has like a strip of cloth that is tightly woven over like his nose, right? And then there's sort of the mask that hangs down over his face, and he's got a pair of goggles on over his eyes, and it looks like maybe a beard is dangling down underneath, and he's pretty tall, and he holds himself up straight with but he and then underneath the coat he's kind of got this apron that is covered in filth, and he says, "You're the king's commander. What do you want with me? I'm just a humble gong farmer."
Well, I've heard you, not just a humble man doing his job, but that you do it pretty well, and that you've been recommended to help us with some questions we have about some of the things that are not happening, but that disposal. If we had anything to dispose of, we'd probably talk to you, would we not?
I come and collect it, or the other staff bring it to me and dump it in the pits.
I mean, you seem like a trustworthy guy. We just want to make sure we have someone that, if the king needs anything disposed of. But I heard that if they're getting rid of stuff, not just,
If the king has any business with me, he can leave it in his chamber pot outside his door, and I'll come and take it.
Good to know. Good to know. What
And
about
it's actually, Marwyn, it is for that fact that we commend you. We were sent personally by the king to commend you for your great efforts. He has left many disposals. Specifically, as of most recently, some fish that did not agree with him. And for that, I wanted to shake your hand. And I'm going to reach out and go to grab his hand to shake his hand.
Okay. You go to shake his hand, and you have to get really close to him.
Oh, yeah.
This man smells so bad.
Yeah.
And he doesn't take his glove off, and it's like you can see there's.
And I'm gonna grab it.
Is that your gloved hand?
It's my gloved hand.
Give me a Constitution saving throw. He smells really bad.
Yeah, it smells awful. I only get a 10.
As you get close to him, you feel it like just coming up in your throat, and you throw
Rude.
He ate some shellfish that doesn't agree with him. Got an allergy.
Guess he's gonna have to clean that up. I mean, that's his job.
He turns to get the shovel.
Okay, but I really want to, as I connect with them, I want to take his glove and peel it off.
Okay.
His arm.
Okay, so you throw up.
And maybe I'm going to try to disguise it as falling to my knees as I vomit profusely at his feet.
Okay. You vomit profusely.
And I still cling to him. Like, you know when you like grab someone when you're throwing up?
So unfortunately, because you're throwing up, you are kind of incapacitated by that.
That's fair.
And so he waits for you to finish throwing up, shovels up your vomit, throws it into the pile, and says, "You want to try that again?" And he offers his
Now I want to thank you for cleaning up my vomit.
Question though, do you wear your like a mask?
Yeah.
So was it throwing up? How was that?
Yeah, you wear your mask.
I throw up through the mesh. The mask is ruined. It's totally ruined.
God.
It's like, you know when it just becomes too much for like just cloth to bear?
Yeah.
And it just starts to leak through?
Oh.
Yeah. So at one point the mask sort of falls away and
is that what your face looks like?
What do you see? What do you see? What do you see?
you see another mask. And it's like a mesh for it, and so it's like sort of like straining like a cheesecloth.
Oh my God.
I'm sure the little Wrath keeps extra masks.
Yeah. I've got a backup mask.
He's got one underneath. You know, like in the onesies where in the back where they have the thing, it's just like there's a latch in there.
Quick change.
Well, that was horrible.
I'm basically trying to like peek at his body.
You want to pull his glove off?
Yeah.
Give me a sleight of hand check.
I can do that. I want to see what you got hiding. 17.
Okay. As you go to shake his hand, you grab onto his glove and pull it off, and there is this awful kind of sloughing / slimy noise as you pull his hand away and see the monstrous thing underneath the glove. It is more of a clawed hand covered in scales with the traces of a fin going up. And he looks and he's like, "I've been a little, don't mind it, just a little sick and dirty lately, nothing too worried about."
I'm so sorry, Marwyn. And I hand him back his glove.
There is a crack of lightning.
Are there more that are sick?
He kind of says, I don't know. He's lying.
Yes, Marwyn, we've been here before. We know what the depths hold in Ash Bay. I have seen it. It has reached out to me. And now I see your flesh. And I see what you have become. Where are the others?
Give me an intimidation check.
Cock die. A 25.
He says, all over in the streets and below, we don't fear the light anymore. We don't fear the light anymore. Our majesty has returned to us, and soon enough, we've no need to hide anymore. There's no need to trick others. There's no need for any cloak and dagger or tricky fishy tricks. It's coming.
And I walk up behind him. And I take out my axe. And I say, "Listen, you may not fear nothing now, but we've come to town." And I point my axe at him and I say, "Where are the rest of y'all?"
And he says, on every boat, in every warehouse, in every home, and in the deep below, surrounded by the glow of her blessed coral. Soon we'll swim up, and the fog will roll in, and Dransmond will be ours.
I think you have it a little bit wrong. I think soon he'll be running back to those depths. I stand over him with my axe. I look at Wrath.
We must bring you in for further questioning.
He says, "No, I'm not going in. I'm never going in." Ah! And as he does so, he tears at his own skin and his face, and he lurches forward to attack.
Fair.
The two of you can roll for initiative.
Fair. I got a 4.
6.
Okay.
You
Because
get
I hesitated. I should have just gone
As
for that.
he retches forward and he pulls away his skin and body, revealing the monstrous form that he has beneath himself. He has a bloated fish-like head with these large eyes that rips away underneath. And like you could basically tell Wrath with it's only because of the clothing, right, that they're able to conceal their appearance through your witch sight. And taking his full form, he says, he gurgles and disgorges the contents of his stomach upon the two of you. And I need Constitution saving throws.
throw up again.
Slam cut to me eating fine food and drinking, dancing.
16.
18.
You actually both do succeed. So you only take half damage from this, which will be 12 necrotic damage.
So 6
Yeah. Or sorry, 12 is the half.
is the half.
Yeah. Rudy.
It's gross.
I have Houdini with me. I'm just gonna send him off to get Wilhelm at
Okay.
the moment. And then I'm gonna
Yeah.
time to get some fish prepared for cooking. And I
Yeah.
take some stabs, take some cuts.
Swings.
I don't know.
Swing
Yeah,
'em.
that's it.
Swing it.
Okay. 29.
That's a hit. Yeah.
Okay. I'm just gonna roll all through.
Yeah.
28
Okay.
There you go.
and a crit.
Okay.
Yay!
Yeah, this is not going to go well for him.
Okay. So
Because the crit, you have Great Weapon Master, so the crit gives you an extra an attack
yeah.
as a bonus action.
Oh my gosh.
Should I roll
Just
that
roll
now?
it,
Yeah, well, let's see
Okay,
how
hold on.
much
And then
damage you
that's
do.
Well, and then I get a 20 to hit.
Everything hits.
Okay.
Yeah.
So
Oh no.
I'll do the first one, which is 32 damage. 22 damage.
Mm-hmm.
And then the crit is 35 damage.
All right.
And then 31 damage.
You bisect him in several places, and the pieces fall to the ground and dissolve into a horrid black goo.
Start shoveling.
Not my job.
I just turn to Wrath and I say, well, how is he gonna make the rest of them scared? I should have just left him.
I thought maybe you
Send a
might just like
message.
wound him severely.
I was thinking about it, but you know what? He was just saying all this scary stuff, and I was just wanting to protect the people around here, and it just happens.
Well, I need you to know that I fully agree with what you did. Like that's why you're here, and you did great. So
Thank you.
don't hold back. Is there any goo left that I can bring back? Is there any parts of him that are?
There's a couple fish scales and bits of goo and his eyeball.
We should probably collect those just as evidence.
Yeah, I put them into a bag. I scoop them up in a little bag or a vial, maybe maybe some kind of beaker, and I'm gonna run back to the party.
I do scoop a little bit into the latrine just so I'm not leaving a mess for the stable.
Stay away.
Don't touch
Hey,
this.
get on this.
This is a contaminated area. Please stay away.
It's fine.
This is a crime scene.
Does it melt the shovel as I'm shoveling it in? Oh, okay, good.
If you saw anything, you'll be also part of this crime scene. And yeah, we're gonna run back and get Wilhelm.
Okay. By the time you return, it's now getting late into the night, and Wilhelm is finishing up several of his conversations, and you return to him.
There was an owl perched on my shoulder. That's Houdini, because you sent Houdini to get me.
Did you not get the sign, Houdini?
Houdini came and landed on my shoulder, and I said, "What's up, Houdini?" And Houdini said, "Woo!" And I went, "Okay, great."
That means come find us.
I looked in the hallway.
Look,
You weren't there.
Rudy killed Marwin.
Okay, that's a little extreme. I just said that he looked weird. Now who's the offensive one, Rudy?
Listen.
Okay, you're in the midst of the banquet still, so how are you handling all this conversation?
Yeah, we need you and I'd say the Duke. I think the Duke needs to know what's going on.
I approach Duke von Baden. Duke, could myself and my two colleagues have a word with you out in the hall for a moment?
The Duke says, yes, come across the hall. We'll chat in the Grand Hall.
Great. We go in and I make sure the door is closed. Is there anybody else in here?
You are now in his kind of throne room with the great dragon turtle skeleton, and there are just the guards.
This is a reach. This is a big reach, but can I use my awakened mind, my ability to telepathically connect with other creatures? Can I attempt to perceive if the Duke has some kind of presence within him?
Sure, give me an Arcana check.
Whew. I get a 14.
Doesn't, as best you can tell, doesn't seem like it.
Duke, well, I've
I
been...
hold up the beaker.
Okay, you're jumping. I was gonna, like...
You do it then. You hold the beaker.
Okay. Marwin.
Hold on a sec.
No, let me explain. Okay.
Let's start where
Duke.
we began.
Well, I've been here entertaining. It is Rudi and Wrath's job to ensure my safety within any premises that I arrive. You can imagine that throughout Westamar there's been a lot of strange occurrences that we've had to deal with. No doubt you're aware of the contamination of delirium, you being somebody who's well-versed in the trade of it. I won't bore you with the semantics of what's been going on, but Rudi and Wrath did find delirium contamination here in your castle amongst some of your staff.
The Duke gravely responds, Your Majesty, I had hoped that we would have more opportunities to discuss this matter. Tomorrow. Because it is something of grave import. I felt it best to... My apologies for not addressing it immediately, but I wanted to make sure that you felt accommodated and understood that you were safe here. I know that... I understand that there has been a small breach in that. It is something that I am aware of and am actively working against. The contamination striking Dransman in my city is the biggest problem that I face now. And I had hoped that my efforts to keep on top of the situation would have prevailed, but it speaks to the dire situation that I am under right now, and it is a situation that I am well aware of.
Duke, you have an infestation, and we are something of experts in dealing with these sorts of things. Rudi, what exactly happened?
I will say, though, if you're so aware of the situation happening, that you have fish folk cleaning out your latrines, it would have been nice for us to know that existed within your premises.
Were you aware of Marwyn's condition?
No, I don't. I have to be completely honest. I never knew the name of my gong farmer.
That's fair.
And, well, I trust my castle staff to administer things. Your arrival here has also been a matter of utmost security and has been a matter that I've taken seriously. And unfortunately, I've had a lot of things to deal with. I'm glad, at the very least, that it was simply a gong farmer as opposed to any one of my military or my marines.
But how do we know?
We don't.
That's my problem, is that we now have discovered on our first day here a fish folk within the confines of this castle.
Yes, and there are people with all across the streets of Dransman that are similarly afflicted.
Duke, I will admit, perhaps you are aware of my earlier arrival before it was announced who I truly was. I was here in Dransman. Maybe you were unaware because I was nobody then, but I was here in Dransman several months ago. We were asked to investigate a situation here involving people going missing in your city. We did so. Mm-hmm. We uncovered the truth of the matter, led us to Ash Bay, where we thought we defeated a creature responsible for this. However, we had to abruptly leave to deal with other situations in my home city of Kesselholm. We left behind some delirium, and the issues persisted, it seems. I know that I promised you a duel tomorrow morning. It might need to be a little bit after sunrise, for despite the fact that I am royalty and I am a king, I am also a Dusk Warden. I am also tasked with protecting this nation from the contamination of delirium, and that is a role I take very seriously. And even as a king, you know I like to be there in the field with my troops, and that includes out there with these two during their investigation.
I respect that. I want you to know that I have conducted my own investigations as well. People of Dransman have come to me with these problems. And again, my apologies for not bringing this to you immediately. I felt it inappropriate to immediately saddle you with all of these concerns the moment you arrived at my castle as a guest. But I see now, but evidently you can see the pressing nature of the issue at hand.
One thing that came up with this folk is that he said there's many out there and they're prepared to make an approach on Dransman.
Do they plan, what was it that you gathered for a plan, or?
The things we come up so far is Wrath discovered some contaminated fish eggs.
Yes.
What are those?
Caviar.
Caviar.
Contaminated catches have been happening all the time.
Happens.
I've had that as a standing order amongst my staff to make sure that things are thoroughly vetted before they are fed to people. Of course, in a city like mine, I can't simply shut down the entire city.
That's not what we're saying.
We're not blaming you of anything. We're informing you of the situation.
Yes, and
it is a situation that I'm well aware of, but it is also a situation that is quickly growing beyond my capacity to control, because these creatures, this problem, is not one that can simply be stopped by slaying whatever monster is out there, because the bay is infested with delirium. There have been multiple shipwrecks of cargo, but in addition there is also whatever is flowing down from Drakkenheim. And in all fairness, Your Majesty, but I had hoped, but had the Todsfell Dam not been destroyed by the Civil War, it's possible that my city might have been somewhat insulated from this effect. But it continues to grow worse, and it continues to flow out. And well, I have had ships scouring the edge of that mist, up and down the coasts, looking for whatever they can, trying to protect whatever villages they can. But the fact of the matter is there is something that is deep beneath the waves, and that is beyond, and whether or not it is a creature or a bunch of creatures, it is beyond anyone's ability. I don't know what to do.
Duke?
I want to say in your mind, Wilhelm, just very simply to politely retire this evening with Rudi and I.
Duke, me and my friends will need to rest on this, but I assure you, perhaps you'll see this as an act of good faith and an act of our continued collaboration, but I do plan to use what resources I have to help you solve this problem.
It had been my hope that tomorrow, when we were surveying the fleet, that I could show you the resources that I have at our disposal for at least offering you some sort of help in whatever you need to do. We have vessels, we have fishing ships, we have trawlers, but I have seen how a fishing net, deeply laid to get as deep as you can in the bay, it comes up with crystals instead of fish. And so I don't know the extent of the corruption of the bay at this point, but my understanding of things is that how do we deal with whatever is down there? Do the mages of the academy not this is why I wanted you to meet even those mages from the illuminated chamber. Someone must have some way of removing this, of getting rid of this pollution that affects the entire bay. But I am also torn because at the same time I recognize the value of this mineral.
Duke, we all understand the amount of money being made off of this mineral, but you can see firsthand the infection it's causing within your own city, and an infection that is spreading and threatening everything that we stand for.
But your Majesty, this infection is not going to end until you cut it off at its source. I could snap my fingers and restore the bay to the way that it was 20 years ago, and we would just be right back here again as long as Drakkenheim is a contaminated ruin.
I know. And that is my main mission.
And so I know that you were here before, and that you engaged in work here to fight things off. But with respect, Your Majesty, you are treating the symptoms and not the disease.
I am aware of that as well. What I was doing in the past was under the orders of somebody else. I am going to investigate this because if there's a way that we can stop the spread, or at least lessen it, what me and my allies plan to do, and we hope that you will be a part of this, I have gathered the people of Westamar. I have gone to all of the major dukes, all of the kingdoms, and all of them are now under the von Kessel banner. If you join us, our goal is to stop this at its heart, to put an end to the spreading contamination within Westamar.
My only concern, Your Majesty, is that whatever is out there currently is reaching a critical mass, because I do not think that these creatures are now based in the sewers or hiding in the streets of my city. They have no need to. They can come and go via the water whenever they please. I have had my men hunting these monsters down, and they continue to come. They are slipping in to the city from the water itself. They live somewhere out in the water.
Then we will find the heart of that as well. We've done it once before. We have our suspicions on what is happening here. And we have some work to do tonight. But in the morning, I would very much like to see your fleet, and together, you and I can help Dransman.
But I think the Duke also has something to do tonight as well. And it's just to make sure that while he's here, we ain't seen no more of these folks come in the castle.
Indeed.
Alright. That's my biggest concern right now is, yes, we got stuff going on, but they're walking through the front door while he's here. And his safety is our concern right now.
I will ensure that the castle is locked down and that no one else is allowed to enter or leave tonight.
And immediately after Rudi explains that my safety is the top priority, we are going to go, get on a boat, and sail out, just the three of us.
Yeah, but then at least we're there.
No, I know.
We should probably, we should head back to our quarters.
You won't be sailing out tonight. It's going to be another storm tonight.
Oh no, yes, we will stay inside our rooms.
It might be best if we...
I think we should reconvene at your quarters.
Okay.
Yeah.
You guys want to reconvene in Wilhelm's quarters?
Sure.
Okay. Do you want to call anyone else there? President Elias is here. Eldrick is here.
We should let Elias know what we're doing.
Right now?
Before we do anything,
Let's just talk. Us.
the truth
Okay.
is,
Yeah.
If
We can always
he
bring
needs to.
Elias in.
truthfully, and we saw what the Duchess was.
Are we in the room now?
Yes.
Like,
You want to head back to Wilhelm's chamber?
do we
Yeah.
want Elias there or not?
No.
Just for us for now. I
Yeah,
think.
yeah.
Okay, but before I leave, like my people should know that I'm where I am.
Okay.
Okay.
The king is retiring for the evening.
Sorry for taking you from the party.
Yeah, sorry we took you from this really important party. There's a beaker of man in
No, that's not like. Go ahead. What's going on?
everything we say is probably being monitored in some capacity.
I was told that we were protected in here.
I mean, that's exactly what they would tell you.
Who's they?
When we were fighting after the big fight in what was the last city we were in?
Todsville.
Todsville. After the fight in Todsville, I felt a presence. I believe it was the Duchess. And I felt it from Todsville. Its reach is indescribable. We have to assume that the Duke, the captains, everyone is under its influence.
I think that there are many people here who are our allies.
I think they might be operating under some capacity, potentially, under this creature.
With all due respect, the Duke has been extremely forthcoming, and the moment that we brought him this, he explained that he knew about this, and it makes sense that he wouldn't want to tell me the night I arrive here in the castle. Usually if a king walks through the door, the first thing you do is not say, "Hi, my city is contaminated with fish folk."
Of course not.
But the fact that he was going to show us the fleet tomorrow, we might want to consider what assets the Duke has that we can use against the Duchess. We nearly died the last time we faced the Duchess, and we had the Silver Order with us.
We did.
This time we are going to need an army.
But the problem here is what Marvin, whatever his name is.
Marwin?
Marwin. He said them fish folk, are everywhere.
He wasn't threatening. He was bragging.
Yes.
They are the one that cleans the toilets, that has probably the most intimate access to everyone in the castle, was being manipulated by the Duchess.
Not only manipulated, he was a fish folk. And where is he now?
Well, we were able to kill him.
Yeah.
He's in the jar.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And I think it's tenfold.
So what is it that you're worried about?
Well, I think what you said, Wrath, is that their reach is far.
Yes.
And I think further than what the Duke anticipates going on with his city.
Remember the people of Ash Bay?
Yes.
They did not show signs of contamination. but they were clearly under distress from the Duchess in her much more tame form. You know, they hid, they were penetrated by nightmares, and they slept in holes and did, unknowingly and unconsciously carried out her acts. We do not need to see scales to see control.
What signs of control have you seen?
The Duke, I do not believe he would have been so forthcoming about this information had we not presented him with it first. It is, in my opinion, simply a guise of the true nature of it. He could admit that it is a problem, but
I don't agree.
that is for you to decide.
I mean, we will never know now what he was going to show me tomorrow, but he did say that he wanted to give me a tour of his fleet tomorrow.
And I think even if he's not, clearly he's underestimated how penetrated this is within his people.
That's
he
fine.
didn't even know that someone in his castle was going around doing it.
I understand that. What is it that you're proposing? Like, what is it that you're saying? Be clear with me here.
Right.
I think we're in danger.
I think we're in danger.
From?
The Duchess.
Yes.
Like,
But are you saying we shouldn't talk to the Duke?
No. I think we...
Because I think we need the Duke on our side. And I think that if he has a fleet...
I think there's hopefully some semblance of...
I think the Duke wants this out of Dransman as much as we do. And he may have underestimated it. But if I may speak bluntly, I think...
As you speak, the storm outside is getting vicious.
Oh no.
Like, it is hard pounding rain and cracks of thunder, and you can hear the waves crashing against the harbor.
I think
I don't
Marwyn,
think we're going out in that.
and I don't think we have to go into it. I think it is coming to us.
Mm-hmm. I think the Duke should be involved, but I
don't think we have till tomorrow.
don't think he's the absolute authority on the spread of how far this has gone. So we can take his words, but I think we need to do our own investigating on top of what information he can give us.
Absolutely. I'm going to continue the investigation, but we need him to be doing his job of preparing a fleet
Exactly.
and getting an army. As for tonight,
My only lead would have been the
I don't think
refuse piles.
I don't think they're going to wage an attack tonight.
I think they know that you're here. You have been the talk of the town. It is well known far and wide that the king has arrived in Dransman tonight. And if there was any chance that the Duchess wanted to get its revenge, why would it not be on the time that you have arrived?
On a night where there are no ships sailing.
When you were at your most vulnerable.
We have no, I'm not saying you're wrong. We don't have any evidence one way or another on whether we suspect an attack tonight.
I think Marwyn was very clear. He knew that the time was impending, and the Duchess, as I have said, has seen all and knows all. We can assume only that it has known that we have been here since the moment we entered the county, or whatever it knew we were in talks.
Well, then if what you're saying is true,
Yeah.
then we don't have time to look at the fleet and
No.
prepare for a battle,
No, I
and
do
we
not
need
believe so.
to fight the Duchess tonight.
I think we need to prepare for the fact that there could be an attack on you.
Maybe not the Duchess, but these fish folk are coming.
Then we need to talk to
it's gotten
Elias,
pretty
we
bad.
need the hooded lanterns, we need all of our troops watching the water line around the city.
I think that's a smart idea.
Prepared at least. If it doesn't come, it doesn't come, but at least we are on guard.
At the same time, maybe not around the city. If they're after, why would they be after me?
At revenge.
I guess we did kill her.
Yeah. And I mean, I'm probably, as well as Rudi, culpable, but I mean, you're the pedestal. You're the top.
We're in the
top.
castle right now, so if we get... Again, should we not let the Duke know?
I mean, we just did, and he brushed us off. That's why I'm saying that we have to be vigilant without his help.
Then
and
we get
when
the-
the attack comes, hopefully he will come to his senses.
Then we get the hooded lanterns throughout the castle.
Yes. And again, it's we get the hooded lanterns. We make sure there are no more infiltrations, because worst thing that can happen is we get attacked from somewhere inside because they know we know.
But I have a guess.
They know and we know.
I have a feeling that refuse pit has, maybe a place that they might use to come up. I mean, if it has direct access to the water, why would they not use it as an entrance?
And any delirium-related atoms have been going in there.
Yeah, so it's probably a growth of contamination and awfulness.
Then I suppose we're not sleeping tonight.
I don't think so.
It's either that or we're making nothing of this and we're just using
our
Or,
we go to sleep and wait 8 hours and see what happens.
Who knows?
Well, with the billowing storm outside, that is where we land for the night. A big thank you, as always, to Jill, Kelly, and Joe for playing. Let's see.
And a big thank you to Kyle for all of his work behind the scenes. Thank you, Kyle. And a big thank you to our Dungeon Master, Monty Martin.
For creating so much panic and anxiety. I feel like I'm being tripped.
I actually did not, you guys are way more suspicious than I am. I was like, yeah, of course there's fish folk. We can worry about them in the morning. And you're like, no.
It was the ominous warning we got from the
I just felt like he was being threatening, and then you murdered him, so it's not like you can tell anybody. It's not like you can be like, hey guys, they're here, and they know. Nobody knows that we know because he's gone. He's goo.
I mean, is that how it works?
I don't know.
Do you know if we don't know?
We'll find out next time.
I guess we'll find out.
Yeah. Big conspiracy
Indeed.
theory right now.
Yeah.
You know what?
Am I going full-blown tinfoil hat? Or...
Yeah. Alrighty. Well, but that is where we will leave things for now.
But what about this castle, Joe?
Yeah. Exactly.
I mean, it's your line.
Oh, what about this castle? Well, this wonderful castle was created by the wonderful people at Dwarven Forge. Them and a bunch of other amazing creators have given us permission to use them in our tabletop games, and we encourage you to go out and support these amazing creators, including the miniatures from Hero Forge and WizKids, the music by Tabletop Audio, and the player character artwork by Elizabeth Perot.
Nailed it.
Thank you.
Of course, don't forget to go check out the links below for our Teespring store. You can find all of your favorite Dungeon Dudes shirts, including What's the Worst That Can Happen? Check it out at bit.ly/Dungeon Dudes merch.
Actually nailed it.
And you can also bring Drakkenheim to your own gaming table. Head on over to Drakkenheim.com. You can check out the store for our publisher, Ghostfire Gaming, where you can get copies of Dungeons of Drakkenheim and Sebastian Crow's Guide to Drakkenheim, whether you want to play the original Drakkenheim campaign for yourself and your group, or whether you want to bring the Apothecary class to your table and more of our subclasses, like the Commander Fighter. And all that's there. Dungeons of Drakkenheim is also available on Roll20, on Foundry. You can get it on DriveThruRPG, and of course, you can get it on D&D Beyond. So check it out.
If you want to support our work, make sure to join us on our Patreon. And if you do, you can hop onto our patron-exclusive Discord, where you can chat with all of us about D&D, Drakkenheim, our books that we wrote, the new books coming out for D&D. Lots of exciting stuff happening on there, lots of topics. So join us on there and come hang out.
Thank you so much for watching, and we'll see you next time in Drakkenheim.